Hello. I think I have to fix that light again. It's still glaring pretty heavily. Bear with me just a moment, and I'll go fix that light. Nice little tiny one now. Should be good. I think it's good. Wait. Mute me. Oh, okay. We're good. We're good. Okay. You sure?
Scared to, because you don't.
Okay, cool. Everything's working good. Now all I have to do is try to rearrange this screen. I unfortunately qualified for several different poker events, and now I have 3 of them happening at the same time. So I just gotta change these up. It's hard to say really. When he does stream, it doesn't go super good. I think it's part of it, to be honest. But then there's I guess it's just hard to say. He's also working on a music video that's animated, and I know that takes time. You know, who's to say? But I think we all agree that he should do it more. Well, I would like him to at least. Okay, yeah, that should be good. So the last time, December 16th, new hotline. I have no idea what that other word is. New song. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the new song on Thursday as well. Yeah, that should be pretty hype. His music's always really good. Last time we did the Chud Mr. Girl Destiny conversation. This is the one that followed. I think it's even the same day. Because last one was 26th. No, it's not. This was the 28th. Just to make sure here. Okay, yeah, this is the 28th. And then it was that one. Okay, yep. This is correct.
Because you're too fucking scared to. Because you don't know when to shut the fuck up. No one's ever told you. Sometimes you just need to shut the fuck up. If you've spoken to him about it offline, maybe you should speak about it online instead of...
People have definitely told him that. Anybody who runs their mouth the way Mr. Girl does has been told to shut the fuck up.
Okay, online, making a bunch of stupid, spineless jokes, using the same kind of meta fucking fake half irony, half joking shit that Steven has made popular, and so now he's paved the door that even black creators are going to say, well, I would rather platform a Nazi than be soy. Cool, all right. It's fucking unbelievable. Hold up, if you would have let me finish, you would have actually known that there's a video on Disney's channel where me and him speak about our thoughts after the panel, and how I said I would never want to speak to him again. You're playing Minecraft in a cave looking for miners. That's funny. I'm in the same cave looking... Oh, shit, diamond. Fuck, I f***ed it up. Wait, let me start over. Gideon, hang on, wait. You're playing Minecraft in a cave looking for diamonds. That's funny. I'm in the same cave looking for miners. Because my sexual attraction to miners is major. Can't even play hopscotch without popping a rager. Always been a pervert, so I accept the insults. When I was a kid, I fucking molested adults.
Wait, what the f? Wait.
Hello?
Hello, Max.
Hearing that come out as a
Hello,
freestyle,
Steven.
it's a lot different.
How's it going, babe?
It's going okay.
Oh man, only okay. Oof.
Only okay.
That's a doozy. Okay.
I know. But as you know, I'm a little upset with you.
Uh-oh.
I hate to have to police you here.
Yeah.
I hate to be soy.
Yep, that's good. Well, listen, in the era of the Giga Chad, the soy is the true king.
Soy is the new Giga Chad.
True.
You deleted the main post giving you pushback against your performance in our argument about your treatment of Nick Fuentes.
I did.
Mr. Girl came to this convo pretty hot and annoying. I don't know, we'll see.
I removed it as spam.
You removed it as spam.
Yeah, that's the thing that comes up on the removal thing. Yeah.
Got 700 upvotes.
A lot of upvotes. It did.
Goddamn, Steven has contradicted himself so many times in his debate with Max and Chud. This is painful.
True.
Should I read this out loud so we know what we're talking about? Have you shown it on screen?
You can read it if you want.
Okay.
If you think
in the
that's
debate,
necessary, go for it.
I think
If you think that's necessary, he's saying like, don't. Mr. Girl's like, bet, okay.
it's absolutely necessary.
Okay.
In the debate just now, when Chud and Max, mostly Max, debated him on the stabilization of Nick, I think he meant sanitization. It seems like Steven is just trying to defend himself without being able to be critical of himself at all. This is most prevalent with how contradictory he is in this debate. In the span of like 10 minutes, he says things like, I never said Nick isn't a Nazi, and
Another stream where Destiny and Eva basically just team up to guess like Mr. Girl about the word Nazi. Yeah, this is in my mind, there's like 3 streams about this. It's sort of like a trilogy of this like arc. I always think of this as like the 3 conversations that were had between Mr. Girl and Destiny, featuring others.
And well, if you separate every view he is close enough to be called a Nazi. And also says, well, I don't believe someone can hide his true feelings for half a decade without changing his beliefs. Within the context.
And to be clear too, I think that these 3 conversations are among the most important that they've had.
Of him not explicitly saying Nazi shit for a few years, so he isn't a Nazi anymore. This has been going on all debate. It's almost gaslighting. This is exactly what Max is talking about. That's true. Being all blurry with what you say about Nick's beliefs. Max is 100% correct with his assessment here. 100%. Literally, every statement said by Max is correct.
Every single one. Jeez.
Yes, literally.
Okay.
While Steven is being so weaselly.
Jesus.
He literally did the Britney argument fucking hell.
Wow.
Edit. After reading one of the comments here, I'd like to add that a huge problem is that basically the only times Steven says Nick is a Nazi is as a joke towards Nick. Steven admits this in the conversation. This is outwardly implying to people that Steven doesn't actually think that Nick is a Nazi, which is the problem with sanitization that Max is talking about.
Jeez. That's a lot.
Okay. It's got 1 gold, 1 helpful, 3 wholesome, and only 487 upvotes. Not 700.
How many comments, though? A lot of comments, probably.
361 comments.
Okay. Jeez. Active threat.
Very active thread.
Big marketplace over there, I would say.
Marketplace of ideas. Exactly. And,
Why is a ban-worthy Reddit post? That's interesting.
This combined with you saying you're willing to receive. So I was saying to you, I think part of my concern about this is that I don't think you are that open to pushback about this, because when I was pushing back against you, it felt like you were just kind of shooting me down and arguing with me and saying that everything I'm saying is wrong. And I didn't feel like you were like, oh, like, yeah, if I'm going to go into this kind of dangerous territory, platforming this like kind of political leader who I think you said, and I believe you, and I agree with you, might want to commit genocide if he ever comes to power, that you'd be like, oh yeah, I need other eyes on this.
I am really curious as to why you think that that's ban-worthy. If it's just like agreeing with Destiny that people should ban dissent against them, if somebody doesn't hold the same ideas as you in your own subreddit, then you should ban them. Then I guess just different values. But otherwise, I'm pretty interested as to why you'd think that.
To like help me make sure that I'm doing the right thing. But that's not the sense I got from you. And then when you get pushback from your own community, democratic pushback in a system with votes and shit, you delete it.
Unbelievable. Do you want me to give you my response?
The last thing.
Okay.
You said if your fans become Knicks fans, you hope that they go and march in the Fourth Reich if Nick defeats you in this battle for their souls. Because you said good ideas beat bad ideas. And the mechanism by which Nick would not beat you is by your community talking about it and talking honestly amongst themselves about what they think of Fuentes. And when you don't allow them to do that, You are tipping the scales in Fuentes' favor.
But I just realized when I read your comment as this is a ban-worthy Reddit post, I was thinking like you're saying that like this is I think this is a good candidate for being pulled down. But you think you should be banned for writing that? That's even crazier than how I thought of it. You ever notice that the worst conversations Destiny seems to have with mrgirl seems to be the ones where he focuses in on his game? It seems like a disconnect. The best one, he isn't. That's a Destiny thing in general, yeah. Now this is hard to watch because little Destiny doesn't care what he has to say and just exploits him. We'll see. It's been a really long time since I've seen this one.
I think
the last one we watched, I think I watched that one a couple of times when it first happened because I was arguing with people about it. But I think this one I've seen like 2 times.
Last part is true. Do you think I don't allow my community to talk about Fuentes?
That's because I watched it with somebody else at the time.
In this case, I don't think you. No, that's not my point. I'm not saying you never do.
Okay.
I'm saying this is proof of a time where they were criticizing Fuentes and criticizing your acceptance, your handling of Fuentes. I know that you'll let them criticize Fuentes, but this is a case of them criticizing directly you and your handling of Fuentes, and you deleted it. So that's not to don't set up a straw man where I'm saying you delete all criticism of Fuentes.
I wasn't straw man. I was just clarifying because it made it sound like you were saying I wasn't.
No, you're not clarifying. You're confusifying.
Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry, hold on. I'll use stronger language because you're wrong. Okay, so early.
I'm like still recovering from the flu, and I know my voice is harsh right now. Usually when I'm like done being sick, I still have like coughs for a while, and I've been having some pretty rough dry coughs, so I know my throat is just fucked and my voice is just fucked at the moment. But panel tonight anyway, so I figured why not stream? I didn't stream yesterday. My wife and I had a woman we're seeing come over, so I'm not gonna pick streaming over that. No, I didn't get a flu shot. I should have. I don't go anywhere, so I really didn't expect to get it. My wife got it and I got it. I usually don't get the flu shot because I'm stupid. It's weirdly personal. I mean, it's not a well thought out post. It's weirdly personal. Okay, so why would you ban somebody for writing a post that you feel isn't well thought out? What if a person does think something out well and you just think that it's stupid? It seems like they thought it out well. It seems like that's where their opinions, and it seems like a lot of people had a lot of opinions about it. And weirdly personal, it's Destiny's subreddit. Like most of the things in there should seem to be like about Destiny or somebody that he talked to. Right? It seems weird. Seems like a weird standard to me.
Earlier, it made it you implied that I wasn't giving my community the opportunity to talk about Fuentes. That's not true.
No,
they've made
that's not what I implied. I did imply that.
Well, no. You might not have said it, but that's what you implied. We can play.
That's not what I implied.
Okay, hold on.
All I implied is that you deleted this thread. You deleted this thread.
I'm gonna roll back and listen to exactly what you said. Hold on. No, it's important that we have the words exactly right.
Criticizing Fuentes and criticizing your acceptance, your handling of Fuentes. I know that you'll let them criticize Fuentes, but this is criticizing your acceptance, or criticizing Fuentes.
Okay, hold on one second. Do you think that last part is true? Do you think I don't allow my community to talk about Fuentes?
Fuentes' favor. By your community talking about it, in this battle for their souls. Because you said good ideas beat bad ideas. And the mechanism by which Nick would not beat you is by your community talking about it and talking honestly amongst themselves about what they think of Fuentes. And when you don't allow them to do that, you are tipping the scales in Fuentes' favor.
Okay, you made it sound like when you said, when you don't allow your community to talk about Fuentes, you are tipping the scale
Absolutely.
in his favor.
When you don't allow them to talk about this,
okay,
at the times that you do that, not saying that is always happening.
Not saying that it's always, but in the times that it happens. Okay, that's fair. Okay,
in the instances that happens,
okay,
and this is a pretty big instance because this was after a big discussion about it, after a big argument. Everybody goes to the subreddit who's interested to see what the community has to say about it. the highest upvoted comment about that conversation, or highest upvoted thread with the most comments, was saying that I was right and that the way you are acting about this does provide cover for him. And then you deleted it. And when you deleted it, in that moment, in the instance, in the 0.2 milliseconds that you were clicking that mouse button, you were providing a fucking shitload of cover for Fuentes.
Okay. The way that I generally run my community is I'm pretty.
I feel like this point's really hard to argue with, but Destiny's gonna, so I'll let him.
Open to criticism and feedback for most things, but when people make it weirdly personal, I generally always delete those threads. If somebody has something good.
It seems really weird to me to say that something's weirdly personal when it is strictly about the content that was just on his channel. If the subreddit isn't for that, it seems like, well, you know what? No. If talking about the content that was just on there is weirdly personal, then I would expect to see this to be like a broader enforced rule. Like, well, yeah, he just talked about exactly what I did on the last stream and he didn't agree with me. This is weirdly personal.
Good to say or something critical to say, generally okay with that. When a thread is called like, God damn, Destiny is being so contradictory and he's being Weasley, usually for those I just delete it. There's plenty of people in my sub that push back and give lots of criticism. They do it, they don't get banned, it's fine. But more often than not, it's usually people typing shit like, I just think that he's being Weasley and he's not even trying to engage a good fan. It's like, there's no like good criticism here. This is trash. And I usually just wipe those threads or ban the people.
After me reading that back to you, do you think there is no good criticism in that thread?
There might be, but he could have written it a lot better.
Okay. Do you concede, or here, I think this, you let me know what you think. The more...
You can't say that you're open to criticism and then be the one that decides what is good and bad criticism that is worth like being spoken.
Horrifying people find you or your conduct or your ideas, the more emotionally they're going to react to it.
Possibly, but I don't have to tolerate that emotional reaction.
You do if you want pushback, because while you and I may be able to keep the rhetorical cool and talk to somebody who wants to kill us or thinks that we are crazy or wants to kill us, whatever, or do whatever horrible thing, we can keep our cool and say, okay, I'm going to engage with your ideas. I'm not going to freak out. Most people, when they get really upset by something that they see happening, especially if they have like a parasocial relationship with you, or if they're a fan of yours or they're invested in your work, they're going to get upset at the same time. And while I'm not saying that you should, you know, tolerate people threatening you or harassing you, or even maybe being extremely insulting, I tolerate that in my community, but you don't have to. I certainly think that saying you are being Weasley in a conversation, while that does have negative connotations, it is also a descriptor of your behavior in the debate. And I just think deleting the whole thing and justifying it as saying that that's an ad hom and that if you tolerate that, you'd have to
reread the post they wrote, Effin' hell. Is that the title of it? Well, I can't read it. It's pulled down, right?
To tolerate any amount of abuse from your community just shows that you are emotionally compromised on this. Like, you're not up for hearing.
Did Mr. Girl not read the entire thing?
Real pushback that would actually really matter and change the narrative here. And by deleting it, you are tipping the scales.
I disagree. God damn, Steven has contradicted himself. This is painful. It seems like he's trying to defend himself without being critical at all. It's almost gaslighting. He literally did the Britney argument. Fucking hell. This isn't good criticism. This is like emotional bait.
If he thinks you're gaslighting me, what does he want?
If he thinks I'm gaslighting me, then I don't ever want him in my community posting. If you're going to use the term gaslighting to describe a fucking internet debate while being that emotional a post, then go post somewhere else. I don't want you posting my subreddit. That's exactly why I banned those types of people.
There's a new rule in your subreddit that no one is allowed to tell you that you're gaslighting.
It's not a new rule in my subreddit. When people make posts,
it's an old rule.
Yeah, if you make a post, that's why there's a comment like 200 upvotes where the guy's like, 07. When you, if you're making a post and you're like, Destiny is a bad faith gaslighter where he's weaseling all, it's like, bro, You're not engaging critically with any material at all. And the only thing like posts like that invite are other people to be like, yeah, Destiny's a fucking asshole, piece of shit. And it's like, bro, there's no engagement here. There's not a good engagement with anything that's actually being said.
Okay, in a span of 10 minutes, he says things like, I never said Nick isn't a Nazi, and, well, he is close enough to be called a Nazi, and I believe someone can hide his true feelings or I don't believe someone can hide his true feelings for half a decade without changing his beliefs. And then they describe that series of statements all being made in 10 minutes as gaslighting.
Yeah, but they remove the context from every single statement.
Well, that's fine. Like, you can push back against it.
No, that's not fine. If that's his engagement with the ideas, I just don't want somebody like this ever posted in my community. It's just a dumb fuck. And then on the sandwich
but
of this,
it's got 500 upvotes of people who don't.
I don't
think
care.
that
There's a
it's
lot
dumb.
of dumb fucks in my subreddit. I don't care. If somebody wants to make like a good reason post, I don't know if somebody did or not, but there are like plenty of people that make good reason posts. Like, I think Destiny's super wrong here. I disagree with this or that, and they make them and they're fine. But like for something that is like this emotionally charged.
I said it to Destiny's face. I think if you want to ban that kind of stuff, that's fine. I do think it means that you're not open to criticism. But like, I think it's fine. You can. I don't think I said this to him, but I personally, I think that's weak. I think that comes off to me as like being like way overly sensitive for somebody who gets really upset in debates and sometimes yells at people and shit. But you're allowed. For sure. But Mr. Girl's point still stands then, like, you're not really that open to criticism. You're open to criticism that, like, if you're willing to take some criticism and you just kind of feel out which ones, like, you like and don't like, and you have, like, some kind of reasons behind that, sure, that's fine. But I would say that means that sometimes you're willing to take criticism. Being open to criticism means that you're not, at the very least, you wouldn't be the one deciding which criticism is valid to engage with at all or not. That seems like
that's just like
the
stupid.
opposite.
Like the OP is just a
me.
dumb fucking post. Like at best it's a surface level engagement, and then at worst comments like he literally did the Britney argument here. Fucking hell! Like the fuck? Like what? This doesn't even like.
Do you know what he means?
I don't care what he means. That just the fact that he would type that shows that he's like not on the level to like critically engage with the subject matter.
Does it? Or is he just like really disappointed? Seems like the guy's disappointed in Destiny. And that's why he's emotional. That would be my guess.
But if a post is approving of you and congratulating you, but written by a dumb fuck, in your estimation, do you delete that?
It depends on what the post is. If it's something congratulating me, but if it's like shitting on somebody else really relentlessly, yeah, I usually ban those people.
No.
Well, Twitter isn't the same as your subreddit. And like I don't know what you're trying to say by saying Mr. Girl blocked you on Twitter for criticizing him. Does Mr. Girl ever claim that like he welcomes people? I'd have to see the criticism, but does he say that he welcomes people doing what you did on Twitter to him?
No, not shitting on anybody else, just saying that you won the argument and you were right. But they don't really provide a well-reasoned, thought-out, perfectly well-written argument as to why. They're a little sloppy. They just say, yeah, man, if somebody had said, man, Mr. Girl was gaslighting that whole conversation, Steven was totally right, he killed it. He nailed every point 100%. I can't really explain why, but I just know that he was right. You would have deleted that?
If they're not usually. If there's like posts was like, wow, that was a good conversation or whatever, then I probably wouldn't delete it, no.
Okay, so the rule is not against being inarticulate or being dumb. The rule is
I never
against...
said I had a rule against inarticulation or being
okay,
dumb.
whatever.
The rule is that if you're going to
justification, your justification that he is not properly engaging with the material is not real. You deleted it because he fucking disagreed with you.
That's why go read my subreddit right now, and how many posts can you find up that are disagreeing with me over the past?
I don't think that it was just because the person disagreed with him. I think Mr. Girl's wrong about that. I think it's because the person disagreed with him. They were highly critical, and it got a ton of engagement. These are the things that would amount to this person getting the post removed. Well, I guess that doesn't make Mr. Girl wrong, but I think he's oversimplifying it by a lot.
Past like 2 days, there's like 7,000.
And in Destiny's defense, it's not the worst PR move to take it down. But if you get called out on it, just say like, my whole take on this has been the whole time, well, after I talked to Destiny about it, when he just said, yeah, I don't want there to be dissenting voices in my subreddit, should have just said that the first time. If you would have just said that here, it would have been much easier to understand. It would have been a lot less of a big deal. Say, I don't want dissenting voices in my subreddit. I don't want there to be like a counterculture. I don't want there to be like a counter community in my community. I think this conversation would have went so much different if Destiny would have just said that, which seems like he probably couldn't, because that would make the argument that I'm open to criticism feel a bit weaker.
1,000 posts. Okay, so
I don't.
Wait. No. So one, you're wrong. I don't just delete stuff because they disagree with me. Okay.
So
two,
it's a way
there's tons of people. Yes. When it comes to criticism, if you're going to be critical of something, criticism implies critical engagement. If somebody wants to make a post like, oh, wow, like I think that argument is cool, blah, 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 then fine, whatever, go off. But if you want to be critical, if you want to like levy criticism, then fine. But like you have to do it in a way that like shows like critical engagement with the subject matter.
Okay. So, what, you have more?
No, that's it. If somebody wants, there's plenty of people that are critical of me on my subreddit. You can argue.
I agree.
You can argue.
Again, I'm not saying that you never allow criticism of you. I'm not saying.
Sorry, that was the implication. When you say that you deleted something because it pushed back against you, the implication is that you delete all criticism. That's generally.
I don't think you do delete all criticism.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying that's what the implication. It would be a workable strategy. There's plenty of official subs where people clear. There's plenty of official subs where people clear all criticism of themselves.
Yeah, but your brand is that you are open to feedback. Your brand is that you'll hear anything and good ideas win. And so therefore we have to hear all ideas. We have to have a marketplace of ideas. We have to have pushback. So you can't delete criticism of you. Some creators can do that.
Okay, but I deleted this criticism.
Yes, you did. You did.
And I typically will delete most criticisms where the post is like super, like lots of random personal attacks and bad critical engagement with the subject matter.
But what if, your justification for deleting it doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Girl should block more people. There's people with no lives who bother him all day. I don't know if he should or shouldn't. If he can't take it, then you probably should. If it's giving you too much stress, fucking do it, I guess. I'll block people from chat sometimes when they're just like being disruptive, I guess. I've had
it does. You just don't like it. So to you, you're saying it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so here's your stance. If I understand it,
go ahead.
People can criticize you and your subreddit, and they can disagree with you.
Yeah.
But if they're going to disagree with you, they have to meet your standard of civility and saying that you are being weaselly in a debate or that you are gaslighting in a debate is too uncivil for you.
Okay. You are not phrasing that post charitably. If it was a well thought out, well reasoned post, and it included like, I think he was being weaselly, the post would stand. If the post has almost zero critical engagement with the debate, starts out with a goddamn, this is painful, says I'm not being critical of myself at all, says that I'm doing a Britney argument and that I'm gaslighting, that's not a post it's worth like even having on my sub. There's no good critical engagement there with what's going on at all.
I agree with the...
I'm talking about people who hate watch him for years. Sure, I just don't know. I think he's doing them a favor by relieving them of their obsession by blocking them. Like, I don't always do that. Like, for example, pretty sure, let's see, just to make sure that I'm correct here. Yeah, Queeman's in my Discord. Do you think I should kick him out of my Discord? He's obviously not a fan of me.
The post, though, I agree with everything.
That's fine, and there's sometimes people can post.
You did do the Britney argument.
So like,
okay.
I don't know.
You did.
I teach
you did.
there.
You said I'm just a wee little YouTuber who I don't have responsibility. Who cares what I think? I'm just a little drop in the ocean.
Okay.
That is the Britney. That's the Britney
Hold
defense.
on. You either missed the entire conversation or you are so unimaginably uncharitable with that interpretation. What I said was, I do not have the power to reclaim the meanings of words. I can't do that. Nobody on YouTube can do that. PewDiePie could not take back the meanings of words. Words like Nazi or racist or rapist or fascist or communist, those words don't mean anything anymore. That's what I said. And when you said, well, can't you make it so that those words do, or can't you? And I said, no, I'm powerless for that. That's gone. That is not the same as saying I have no responsibility. I've never said that before.
I think it absolutely is. I think the way these words are used in your community are basically defined by you and the handful of people you talk to.
Okay. I don't talk to just my community, so I totally disagree.
I'm not saying you do talk to just your
community. Well, if I can
saying,
control things in my community, I can't control when I associate with other communities how they take things. So why would I use a word in my community, make it a regular word in my community that means something different outside every other community? Why would I even do that? It's a fruitless endeavor.
I don't think it is.
Explain how.
I think the word Nazi.
Oh, but Milkman, I do understand your point, though, even though I neither agree nor disagree.
Is an important word, and we need it. We need it to be able to identify Nazis.
Okay,
I think that if you say to your viewers, your core base, when I use the word Nazi, here is what I mean. And you bring up a text definition on screen. You say, this is the definition of the word Nazi. It's a fascist who believes in racial hierarchy. Something like that. And you put it up every time you say it. Then anytime anybody in your sub says the word Nazi incorrectly, you're going to have 100 people jumping down the throat and saying, no, that's not how we use that word here. You could absolutely do that.
Why would I waste my time? So the first thing you said was
because it's important.
It's not important. It's super.
Well, first Destiny said I can't do that. And then Mr. Girl said yes you can. He said no I can't. Then he points out that he can. And he goes, well, why would I do that?
It's probably one of the
that's
least
okay, but that's a different.
Well, let me finish. Hold on.
I don't like that. That sort of like red herring debate strategy is it's like my least favorite thing that people do when I try talking to them. Very silly.
I wrote down your thing, so now I'm responding to. You said we.
Just because a lot of irresponsible people like Destiny misuse words doesn't mean that the words don't have meaning anymore. Disingenuous framing. Destiny pushing the goalpost. Yeah.
We need Nazi to identify Nazis. That is wrong. Deductively, it is not true. We need Nazi, which is a classification of stuff that implies a whole bunch of different sub qualifiers or whatever, right? You can identify somebody as such by focusing on those subcategories. You don't need the word Nazi to identify a Nazi. You can identify all the bad things about a person without having to use that word. So number one, that's wrong. Number two, if you want to go point by point, we can, but you need to make a much shorter response.
Bro got caught slacking.
To me so that I can make a much shorter response to you. If you're going to ramble for 5 minutes, I'm going to ramble for 5 minutes, okay? So we don't need Nazi to identify Nazi, okay? Two, oftentimes when the word Nazi is used, you're actually muddying the waters. You're giving cover to Nazis. The last big panel I did with Vosh was fighting against him, calling Bush and Antonin Scalia Nazis. Or it might have been fascists, actually. So even using these...
It was definitely fascist.
Words, as soon as I use a word like this, what I have to do is I've got to define it immediately, which means I've already lost the power of the word and I'm engaging in more work than I need to. Why wouldn't I just attack? I'm going to finish talking. If you're going to do a thing, if you want to go granular, we can, but you're going to wait for me to finish, okay? Okay, that's fine, right? So I don't agree that we need not to identify Nazis. I think that using the word just muddies the waters on everything. And then when you're saying, well, when I'm in my community, when you say Nazi, this is what I mean. I already do that. When I'm talking to just my community or when I'm talking to somebody, there are times where I'll say, I think this person is a fascist. And when I mean fascist, I mean he's actually like an authoritarian, ultra-nationalist, populist figure. I will go out and define it. But even me having to do that shows the futility of the word, because the only reason I would call somebody a fascist and then go on to define fascist is because I'm trying to bring in something from the word fascist that isn't implied by the definition, which is some amount of moral normativity. I'm saying they're fascist, meaning I'm saying they're bad, because why would I call somebody something and then tell you what the definition of that word is instead of just telling you?
Destiny's defeating his own argument here, though. If it was really that fatalistic, then he wouldn't bother saying fascist, and by that I mean he would just say what follows after. But by that I mean
the definition outright. That's why I think all of these word games are fucked. Okay, now go. Now, if you want to go like a point by point, we can do it. But if you talk now for 5 minutes, I'm going to give you another 5-minute response. Just letting you know.
Okay. Well, we have 2 topics on the table now.
Sure.
One is, do we need the word Nazi?
Okay.
And 2 is, do you have a large amount of control over how your community uses words? The Brittany argument that he was referring to is you claiming that you don't, and you just claimed that you don't again. When I pushed you on it, you said, okay, maybe I do, but who cares?
Yep.
So are we talking about whether or not you have control over how your community thinks of a word, which I think you obviously do, but we can argue that if you really want to keep saying you don't, or are we going to argue about whether you should?
We can do either one. I've written them both down. Whichever one you want, whatever path you want to go down.
Okay. When you said, well, who cares, or why would I waste my time doing that? Do you, to me, it sounds like you're conceding that you could. Do you agree with that?
I could make the effort. I don't know if I could effect the outcome.
What do you think?
I don't think I can.
Okay, so you don't think that if you told your community, when I use the word Nazi, I want you to understand this is what I mean, and when you use the word Nazi, I'm going to expect that this is what you mean. You don't think that that would change how people use the word in your subreddit?
No, I already do that on my stream. Like I already...
Yeah.
It happens when we talk philosophy sometimes. Like every single time I bring up begging the question, I explain what it means. This is what it means to beg the question. It's not raising a question. It refers to...
So why do you do that if it's futile? Why do you do that?
Because for some words, if it's a philosophy debate and depending on who I'm talking to, it's nice to be more exact with the words you're using. But generally, I'm not. But like when I go off into the world, if I'm like in a debate with somebody, like on a stage.
I just saw that. The begging the question one is the one that always gets me. Destiny says that people don't understand what that means all the time. If that's true, that's crazy to me because that's the most like easy idea ever. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody use it for like raising the question, but I've heard him say this a lot. I've heard Destiny say it maybe only without ever hearing anybody use it wrong.
Stage or whatever, I'm probably not going to say like begging the question. I'm probably going to say your argument is circular because begging the question just means raises the question. And there's even if in my own community I fight really hard for a particular term, I've lost control because my community doesn't only watch me, and people that I argue with don't watch me. So I kind of have to just engage with them at where they're at. And language is so out of my control for most people.
But in your community, I guess you're just saying that you just don't agree with this. Maybe we're going to just hit a dead end. I think that if you say, hey, the word Nazi is really important because when you do something like call Bush a Nazi, here's why you shouldn't do that. I mean, I would even argue that you're already doing this. When you argue against the concept of calling Bush a Nazi, aren't you refining the definition of the word Nazi for your audience?
I'm just fighting back against them calling him a Nazi because whatever moral weight or definition they're trying to bring in, there's no shot that Bush or Scalia is a Nazi or fascist.
If the word, if the word doesn't mean anything, then why did you just use it?
I didn't say that the word doesn't mean anything. I said, or let me be more precise.
It's lost all meaning and that's ruined.
Yeah, when I say that, I'm incorrect. It is ruined, but it hasn't lost all meaning. That's an incorrect phrasing by that. Let me be more.
When you say Scalia isn't a Nazi, you're defining Nazi by saying that, right?
Let me be more precise. I'm not saying that the word has no meaning, but that doesn't mean that the word isn't ruined. The problem is that the word has tons of different meanings, but the meaning of that word is usually something that coincides with a feeling that the word uses.
Destiny dragged this out for content, and it was too conflict avoiding to tell Mr. Girl end it or move on. If someone wanted to convince Mr. Girl that trans women are women, he wouldn't drag it up. He wouldn't drag it out this long. He would have just move on. Yeah.
User wants to convey about the
I just seen him talk to Alex with Playing with Fire. I was rewatching theirs because Alex is going to be on the panel I'm on tonight, and he told him after like he suggested a couple times they just move on because they just seem to like fundamentally disagree. Mr. Girl thought that hookup is like gay, and Alex didn't think so. And after a couple times, Mr. Girl was like pretty insistent, like we need to just move on. So I guess I would have to agree with you.
Subject that they're talking about. That's the problem. So I shouldn't say the word has no meaning, because it clearly has some meaning, but typically the meaning of that word is that it's conveying a feeling about the speaker towards a subject. That's my issue with the word.
If you're saying that's a problem with the way it's usually used,
Mm-hmm.
are you not right now arguing against that definition and by implication for another definition?
I'm arguing against that definition. I would argue in favor of an actual definition, but like when I'm engaging in conversations with people, I can't do the world as I want it to be. I have to get people where they are. I've got to treat people as they are. I've got to come at where people...
Yeah, but you're in a conversation with me. So right now, it sounds like you're using our agreed upon definition of the word Nazi. I also agree that Scalia is not a Nazi.
Sure. I think when you and I are talking, if you were to come on and you're like, I want to have a conversation on whether or not I think a person is a Nazi, I'd probably use it in a pretty formal manner with you, because we seem to have an agreed upon exact definition of the word. Sure.
This is weird that this would happen after the conversation they just had. It's a very bizarre thing for Destiny to say.
Okay, so don't you think that through hours or years of watching you, that your fans are very likely, if somebody says Bush is a Nazi, to say that's not true. That's not what a Nazi is. And that the reason they'd be saying that is because they heard you say it. They heard you give a compelling argument for why it doesn't really make sense to call Bush a Nazi. It weakens a useful definition of the word, and it's just turned into a playground insult.
Yeah, I do that when I hear people use these terms incorrectly.
Okay, so in the process of doing that, you are doing the thing that you're saying you're not able to do. You are changing the way that your audience uses the word. My problem with this is you seem to have very specific, strong convictions about what that word means and how it is used, except when it comes to Nick Fuentes. Then all of a sudden, it's fucking slipping through your fingers, and you're hiding behind other people's misuse of the word to avoid having to just say, flat out, straight up, Nick Fuentes is a Nazi.
Okay, so when you say you are changing the way your audience uses the word, that is true. When I hear people use words and I don't think they're being used correctly, I'll typically fight back against the incorrect usages of those words. That's not the same thing, though, as insisting that I use those words in conversations in a way that I think is the correct way to force other people to do it. Those two things are not the same. For instance, if I'm in an argument with somebody and I hear them say feminism or toxic masculinity, and I hear them use it incorrectly, I'll almost certainly call them out. I'll say, well, hold on. Toxic masculinity doesn't mean this. I'll say that, and I'll correct that when I hear it used incorrectly. But that doesn't mean that I'll go forward into arguments with other people and utter those terms and hope that they've got my meaning or that everybody's going to be on the same page with me. I'll call people out when they're doing it incorrectly, but I'm not going to force my usage of it correctly onto other people, because it's just going to lead... This is like a lesson that I learned years ago. It just leads to like quibbling and arguing over what the definitions of words...
This is the Patrick Star, it's not my wallet meme.
...words or terms are.
Sure, but you have to have a definition for yourself in order to say things like Bush isn't a Nazi.
I don't think.
So when you can say Bush isn't, you know who isn't a Nazi. Bush isn't a Nazi. We know Hitler is a Nazi. But if I say to you, is Nick Fuentes a Nazi? I don't get a clear answer, and that's my whole problem.
I have no problem with you saying that Nick is probably a Nazi. I don't have a problem with that. The issue is
Nick Fuentes a Nazi?
It depends on how specific you want to... What is the definition you want to run with for Nazi? Tell me exactly.
Is Bush a Nazi?
Bush is absolute... I don't know any definition of Nazi where Bush qualifies as a Nazi.
Okay. Is Hitler a Nazi?
Hitler was quite literally the leader of the National Socialist Party of Germany. It was called the Nazi Party, and he seems to embody the ideals of the Nazi Party. So I'd say probably, yeah.
Okay. In your definition, you can use whatever definition you want inside that fortune cookie you've got there, your dictionary.
Uh-huh.
Is Nick Fuentes a Nazi?
It is possible that in Nick's idealized or private version of his world, that he is indeed a Nazi. That is possible. In terms of the positions that he advocates for, I wouldn't say so. But he could be internally. That might be something even that he jokes about or inches towards. But it's not the movement, it's not the things that he advocates for.
What do you think? Or do you not have an opinion?
What do I think what?
Do you think he's a Nazi?
It's trying to divine like where somebody's mind is a game that I find futile. What is the advantage of me doing that? If I'm right, I gain nothing. And if I'm wrong, I lose everything. And I look like an idiot. Why wouldn't I just attack him or engage him with his prescriptions or his jokes? Those are the areas that I would go to fight. Why would I try to box with Shadow?
Destiny, I don't have a problem with you calling Nick Fuentes a Nazi. Mr. Girl, is Nick Fuentes a Nazi? Depends on what you think a Nazi is. Shouldn't you just qualify when calling Nick a Nazi? Bro, you already know. Bro, you already know that Nick Fuentes, or that Max thinks, what Max thinks a Nazi is. Yeah. Yeah, this is where it gets pretty bad. Destiny's so ridiculous on this debate. Criticizing Laugh for having spilled sex details to big tech was when he criticized Laugh for having spilled their sex details to big tech. He was super okay with calling him a Nazi. Yeah, because Destiny's pretty okay with using the word Nazi. Destiny absolutely has a definition of Nazi, which that he thinks is like good and accurate to use. But when it comes to Nick Fuentes, because there's quite a big opportunity for growth here, which for some reason Destiny just doesn't, pardon me, doesn't want to cop to, all of a sudden, it's like pretty hard to do. Is George Bush Nazi? No, I don't see any definition that could possibly fit George W. Bush. Is Nick Fuentes Nazi? Well,
when I'm trying to figure out what
you just say, I don't know. Two, if he just said I don't know,
might be in his head,
all this other
and then
shit onto it
run
too.
the risk of either being totally wrong or run the risk of being correct.
He wanted the money from the Fuentes community. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Correct.
Yes.
And then what's the next step? To fight on his positions.
Because if somebody operates in shadows, you have to box with shadows in order to push back. That's why.
Well, that's...
And you also gain a lot if you're right.
I don't gain anything. He's never going to expose him. It's not like I'm going to be like, well, Nick, like, don't you think this? And then all of a sudden he's like, I do want to kill all the Jews. Oh, shit, you got me. Like, that's never going to happen.
Well, if there's a train who's going to hit 5 people, and I flip a switch, and it doesn't hit them, and nobody ever knows I did it, did I gain anything?
I don't know how that's relevant here.
Well, what if you prevent bad things from happening by calling him a Nazi and being right? Now, calling him a Nazi and being wrong, I agree that would be wrong. But if you think he's a Nazi, then if you believe he's a Nazi, then you gain a lot from saying what you believe. Like, why? I just don't understand.
If I think he's a Nazi,
take such strong stances and make such strong statements about so many people, but when it comes to Nick Fuentes,
yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by that? Or what do you? I'll make strong statements related to Fuentes. I just don't like using broad.
Destiny's just like pretty full of shit in this. Yeah. At the very least, I've been debating with him. I got in his ass a bit about so like right after the Mr. Girl bridge burning happened, I just called him a liar. I was like, you overnight decided that Mr. Girl is actually a rapist. Like, you defended the fact that he's clearly not, based on the story that he told. You had the opinions that you had, and then as soon as you're not friends anymore, he's actually a literal rapist. Okay, dude. That's how truth becomes evident. Okay. Hi, Kiora Dog. And I talked to him about the subreddit shit. And I finally got out of him that the reason why he actually behaved the way that he did, or allowed the behavior in the subreddit the way that he did, was because he didn't want there to be like a counter community forming in his community that favored Mr. Girl over him. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you just say that from the beginning? Why does it have to like get this far and have like this many conversations to be had about it just to get to that, when you're acting like that's not the case? First it was the deflection onto forethought, and then it's like, yeah, but I actually do. He is my moderator, so I could have changed it, and I'm not. All this shit just so he can finally say, when I talk to him, well, I just don't want there to be a counter community within my community. And that's fine. If that's what you want, just say that. And then that's like the only like really debating times talk to Destiny. I also interviewed him about Mr. Girl.
Labels generally.
That's never gonna happen. Like, bro, 5 to 6 months later, Nick Fuentes is openly antagonistic to Jewish people. Like, my guy. Oh, like, come on, my
because
guy.
they're so misunderstood.
It was
like even in
it was a pretty bad look.
Page and somebody's like, "What are you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm kind of like a leftist. I'm kind of like a sock dem. I'm kind of like a center left. Like no matter what label I say, I'm gonna have to go in to describe like, well, I'm a sock dem, but I'm not like a crazy progressive. But I am pretty progressive, but I'm not like for the like the label."
Do you think when Fuentes was hanging out with Kanye and they were going on their like anti-Jew arc, do you think somebody just like pulled it up on their phone and showed Destiny like, dude, like, bro, and Destiny was just like, just shut the fuck up, and then just like tried to like move on.
You've spent so much time arguing about what the labels even mean. Like, I would rather just attack him on the positions. And if he cowers from the positions, if he is a Nazi, the goal is to get him to admit that he's a Nazi through, like, argumentation or deduction, right? Like, the question, like, would you rather date, a Somali woman that is, like, perfectly Christian, Catholic, wants to do blah, 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 or would you rather date, a white person that's, like, a weird LGBT person from San Francisco with blue hair, Forcing Nick to answer questions like that is more revealing of his true positions than just being like, I think you're a Nazi, Nick. It's like, okay, well, where the fuck do we go with that?
I don't think you have to say it like that. I don't think you have to yell at him. I'm just asking you straight up, do you think Nick Fuentes is a Nazi? I guess your answer is that you don't know?
His policy positions and the movement he leads is not an expressly Nazi movement.
I know that.
I don't know. In terms of what
that's why I'm asking you what you think of it. Obviously, I know that. That's the point. That's why we're having the conversation. If it was, there'd be nothing to talk about.
I don't try to divine. I don't try to figure out through whatever, like with the inner workings of a person's mind like that. It's just not something
Sometimes he does.
I usually bother with. If I do, I'm mistaken when I do it. But like,
okay, fair enough.
I usually just try to engage with the ideas that people say, and then when we argue, I'll push them around and see what breaks or.
I don't really mean to be so antagonistic towards Destiny when I do these either. I just think that these are some of the worst conversations that he's had, and I think it's not even so much that like I'm on Mr. Girl's side here, is that I'm on the side of like not liking seeing Destiny do things that are like fairly dishonest in my view. That bothers me more than what's happening between him and Mr. Girl here, because I really like Destiny, and for a long time he was like by far my favorite streamer. So I think I just would like to see like the standard that like gave him that status to me being upheld.
Where they're strong at, and then I kind of figure out from there.
Do you agree that in modern times, Nazis operate through confusion, semi-ironic humor, and plausible deniability?
Potentially, but I actually bit this argument from you. I think that political correctness ends up being the opposite side of a dog whistle, where people get so scared about seeing dog whistles and everything everywhere that everything becomes overly politically correct in an attempt to avoid the dog whistle. So rather than like playing games, in that world where I'm trying to figure out, is he dog whistling? Is he a Nazi? Is he whatever? Like, I would rather just like, okay, I'm going to meet him where he's at, and he can either own these policy positions, or he can own these moral prescriptions, or he can back off of them and reveal his true colors, where he's a Nazi, if that's the case.
I think Nick is doing to you what you're doing to me right now.
What is that? Hey, what's up, Jadian? What is he doing?
Hey, Jadian.
Nick's trying to get Destiny to say whether or not he thinks Mr. Girl's a Nazi. No, I'm just kidding.
What's up, bro? What's your name?
Mr. Girl or Max.
What's up, Max? How you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
What you're doing to
sorry,
me
that was a very silly
is
thing to
you
say.
are creating confusion
But it was fun
around
to say it.
the definition of words or what we're even talking about. Everything is spiraling off into different sides, and at the end of the conversation, nobody knows what you really think about Fuentes or Nazism or what a Nazi is, and like you've created a bunch of
this guy's about to derail everything. Does anybody know anything about Gideon? Like I know about Abba more. Like Abba seems like a pretty alright guy. I would say that for the most part, ABBA seems like they're pretty intelligent and like good faith when they talk about things, even if I think they're wrong. It seems like they're honestly engaging with things and like trying their best to figure things out. I don't know who Gideon is like at all. Gideon and Al are basically just mock and ridicule Mr. Grill for sincerely having concern about Nazis. I guess sure, but I also believed ABBA. When I seen this the first time, I'm pretty sure what I remembered is that I didn't believe Gideon. I didn't feel like the things that he was saying is sincere. I was a horrible person. He was making fun of Lab's sexual trauma. Is this the one Mr. Girl falls apart or fails at rapping live? It gets me all the time. Yeah. It is a little weird though. I feel like he should probably work on freestyling a bit more. When you tell people that you're a rapper, you got to expect them to ask you to bust out a freestyle here and there.
Tangentially related micro arguments that you can win. You set up and you win them really quickly. And so, like, if you look at the scoreboard, I'm losing by a lot because you've.
He's the trickster. Who's a trickster? Base Strozzy take on rap. Gideon isn't a political guy. He was a YouTube prankster that recently quit that to be a religious YouTube content maker. He deleted his old channels to do so. He was just in a convo with Nick, and that's why he just wants in a convo with Nick in time frame of this YouTube video. Real rappers can freestyle rap. Working Bob, Jesus fucking Christ. That's crazy. Is he like a religious YouTube content maker? Like, is he gonna be is he one of those people that like watches Jesse Lee Peterson videos and pauses it whenever he talks about God to like hammer down the points that Jesse Lee Peterson says about God, or like talk about why like being gay is a sin and shit? Is it one of those? Because I seen one of those guys recently, and I was like really, really impressed. Not just at the number of subscribers that the guy had, but just like, I don't know. It always I have a hard time believing these people when they do it. Gideon deleted his old prank content to make mid-Christian content on YouTube. That's tough for me, man. When I see people that are like really into religion and like on YouTube, it always feels like an act to me. I understand it can't always be an act, but it always feels like an act to me. He deleted multiple YouTube channels. He had a ton of views and subs on and just made the new channels. His channel was pretty big. Well, there does seem to be a lot of money in it. I seen a guy that seemed like they had like basically no original thoughts or like talent for streaming get like millions of views doing the Jesse Lee Peterson thing just by talking about God and stuff. Man had 7 million subscribers on YouTube. Oh. Religion is subjective. These guys want to make money. No clue about his new content. That's crazy.
Like 900 arguments. But there's only one or two that I'm trying to have with you. One is, do we need the word...
You think he could just leave it up and rebrand himself? I don't know. That's crazy.
Nazi. And two is, do you have the power to define that word for your audience? And I don't think you've really answered either of those questions. So you won 900 arguments, but the two that we're having, you've evaded. And I think Nick is doing the same thing to you. He becomes, shadows. That's the whole point. Because he's not like welcome in the daylight. I wish he were. I wish that YouTube would let a Nazi come on and say, I'm a Nazi and I want to kill all the Jews. And then we would know. We wouldn't have to just say, well, based on everything you've said, I have this big chart of every data point of everything you've ever said, and I've determined that statistically speaking, it's an impossibility that you're not a Nazi. You have to be a Nazi, given what you've said.
So here's why I disagree. You say that I'm creating confusion around the definition of words and what we're talking about. I disagree. I wish I could go back to the conversation. it might have been a lot of people here. I think it was like Fuentes, Abba, Gideon, I think Don, Sneeko, and a couple other people were in that room. And I think at some point, people were literally asking,
Drazi, Baldur's Gate 3 stream win. I don't know if people want to watch me play games. Sometimes I'll do like MK streams just because like I end up playing like Mr. Girl or something. I also plan on holding a Mortal Kombat tournament, which I will stream. But I mean, if people ask me to play a game, I have Baldur's Gate 3 and I have almost I played it almost not at all because I played it when it first dropped as early release, and it was fucking bad. It was bad. It was a broken, non-functioning piece of software. And I just haven't picked it up again since. And like I've been like overwhelmed with the amount of like insanely good games that have come out recently. But if people actually ask me here and there to play games, like somebody else asked me to play oh my god, lady, what's that horror game we got? It's like that super popular horror game. Yeah. Lethal Company. Yeah, somebody asked me about that. I was like, well, if somebody wants to play with me, I'll play. That seems like a terrible game to play by yourself. My wife and I play that together. Well, he could have, but he really wanted to stick to his morals and like prove that religion shift was not a grift, aka he wanted to prove he was a real one. I mean, it's not the worst way to back up your words. I'll give him that. Welcome to Gideon. I believe everything the Bible says. My mission is to get people to turn back to the Most High God and truly follow Jesus. I can't even read that without laughing. It just all sounds fake to me. He just made another video explaining why he didn't keep the old ones around. Oh. Reminder that Rose Wrist later comes into Destiny's stream with receipts to back up why Fuentes isn't. See. I would watch you play Baldur's Gate 3, Drazi. It'd be really cool to see you experiencing it and commenting on it. Okay. Maybe I'll pick one day a week to do game streams. And depending if people actually like it, I could go from there.
Like, oh my god, like, aren't you a Nazi or whatever? And Nick is very easily able to weasel around that word because who the fuck even knows what Nazi means? And he did it pretty effectively. And I think it wasn't until I stepped in and I started asking specific questions like, do you think white people and black people having children is degenerate? Once specific questions like that start coming out, it's a lot harder for him to get away from that than for me going, aren't you a Nazi who believes in racial hierarchical structures? Well, you know, I mean, is there a racial hierarchy? I don't know if I'd say that. Like,
I don't think this is a good point. Now, if Destiny wants to tease out to an audience whether Nick is a Nazi or not, yes, these are very good. This is a much better way than asking Nick if he's a Nazi. However, Mr. Girl is saying, why aren't you asking Nick if he's a Nazi? Mr. Girl is saying, do you, Destiny, believe that Nick is a Nazi? These are totally different things entirely. Steven Schrodinger's Nazi Bunnell the third.
Like, white people are different than black people who are different than Asian people, and they should blah, 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 blah. Like, using this word Nazi.
But that's what you're
I got to hold on, wait. Remember, anytime
that's what
you,
you're
wait.
now.
No. Anytime you ramble, I'm going to ramble. So I just wrote down everything you said, so I'm responding to everything you said. Okay? I'm not the one creating the confusion. I think I'm the one that's looking for clarity by having real conversations about the real ideas and the real policy positions, not hanging on to a word and trying to bring it in and like make everything fit. Like, is it?
Oh, I was just looking for any updates on the panel because it was supposed to be at 10 and then they're saying maybe 9. It should be in 2 hours rather than 3 hours because I'm Eastern. And then, sounds good. Counterpoints just got back with me. In January, him and I are going to have a debate. I guess he's busy through the holidays. In January, him and I are going to debate about polyamory because he said some really dumb shit about polyamory. And I knew as soon as I seen that Destiny was getting divorced, despite the fact that he's in an open relationship, not a polyamorous one, the people are going to be taking this opportunity to shit on polyamory. And Counterpoints did it in a gloriously stupid way.
A Nazi here. I don't care about that. I don't want somebody to dislike somebody because they're a Nazi. I don't care how they feel about somebody.
About disliking him,
Let
bro.
me finish. Okay, if somebody doesn't like somebody or if somebody doesn't like their policies or thinks they're evil, I want it to be because they know specifically where that person stands on certain moral or political issues, right? That guy's a Nazi. Okay, I don't know anything about that. That guy's opposed to misogyny. He doesn't think that interracial marriages should happen, and he thinks gay people should be killed. Okay, those are strong positions that I don't think I would like that person. I prefer the latter to the former because in this media environment, when somebody says Nazi, that word means fucking nothing. Okay, when you say this, hold on, I got it. If you want to go granular, we can go. But when you ramble a lot, I'm gonna ramble.
This isn't granular. You're just fucking.
No, we're not granular.
You're gaslighting me. You're gaslighting me.
You can look at my stream. I literally wrote down everything you said, and I'm responding point by point.
You have a list of things to not respond to.
No, I'm right.
That one gets me really good.
Down everything you're saying.
Like
if you want to talk a lot, I have to. Okay, so you said nobody really knows what you think. Everybody knows exactly what I think. They might not know, I guess, like my precise definition.
At this point, nobody knows what Destiny thinks about Nick Fuentes.
Of the word Nazi, but they know where I stand on all the moral issues. They know where I stand on the policy issues. And when I argue with somebody, they know where they stand on the moral issues and policy issues. And that's
really funny. All those policy issue things are nowhere in the notes. And I don't think Mr. Girl asked about it at all. So it's really weird that Destiny would be so aggressively arguing this point that only he's brought up. It's not really related to the conversation at hand.
More important than whether or not we all agree on what the word Nazi or fascist.
Oh, I see. Because it's more important. That's why it would get brought up instead of addressing the point. I see.
Just means, and if we've applied the label correctly, because who the fuck cares? And then when you say you're creating,
I care. Obviously, I care.
You say when you're creating confusion around the definition of words and what we're talking about, wrong. Bringing in those words, I think, is what creates the confusion. I think that I'm providing clarity by focusing on the actual subject matter and not focusing on trying to use the word.
Hate the I wrote everything down. I can't be gaslighting you right now. A little tricky tried to pull there. Just because you're writing it down doesn't mean you aren't being manipulative gaslighting. Well, he's certainly not responding to any of those things, which is really, really funny that he would say that, as though to lend credibility to the fact that he is responding. While, like, we can look at it, we can see it. It's pretty slick. Like, even though I think it's weaselly, I gotta give him credit. It's a good move. It's a pretty good combo. Also, this has nothing to do with this video at all, but I'm playing poker against another poker streamer that I've talked to before.
Words.
Cool.
When you say nobody really knows what you think, or I'm just creating micro arguments, everybody.
If you do like poker, you should check out Dr. Dad. He's a pretty good poker streamer. I am literate and able to write, therefore I cannot be a gaslighter.
Everybody knows what I think.
My on the subject of gaslighting, one of my wife's favorite shirts is she says I heart gaslighting, and it's absolutely because she hears me watching this shit all the time.
Might just not know how I apply a really broad word like fascist or communist or whatever, but they know very precisely or specifically where I stand on a given issue that we're talking about. When you say, do we need the word Nazi? I wish we had words like that were highly descriptive, but all of them have been destroyed. And I've said it a million times.
When you play poker, you play for real. What's your take on gambling? I'm playing poker for real. This is a $50 buy-in, but I qualified by placing in a $5 satellite for it. First place gets 11.2 thousand. So I'm playing for real. My take on gambling is that poker's less gambling than other things. I like gambling, but I think that it's a lot better to do it when you understand the odds. Like I'll play blackjack, and I'll get really triggered when people make like obviously bad moves. Like blackjack, there is definitively correct and incorrect answer for every single situation the game can put you in. Like it's not there's no opinions to be had here. Like depending on what you have and what the dealer has, there is a demonstrably correct, like statistically understood. We've used computers, we've figured it all out. Blackjack, insofar as what is correct and what is incorrect to do, not win or lose, is a solved game. And people will just not do that. And my wife would say, like, sometimes but some people are just there to have fun. And I think that's fucking insane. If you are gambling, you should be gambling to maximize your profit. If you're gambling for fun, that just tells me that, like, you're throwing your money in the garbage. Poker is gambling, but surely less gambling than playing, like, roulettes or craps. Yeah. I think roulette, craps, blackjack, and poker... not even I think, I know that these are the best games to play if you're going to gamble, because they have, if you play in the correct ways, you have the best chance of, like, increasing your money. But I think gambling's fine. I think that, Twitch probably made the right call about which
Nazi,
things to allow and not allow.
pedophile, racist, rapist, transphobic. I don't know what any of these words.
Absolutely need these words.
But they're gone now. They're already gone. We've lost
They're
them.
not. No, they're not gone.
When you said
You don't. Although I think that the best ways to gamble are to risk small a lot. Take small risks with known odds. Take small calculated risks with known odds. And keep on building up so that like what's small to you becomes larger.
Use them frequently.
When you said, do you have the power to define that word to your audience? I kind of do, but when I use them, I have to define them every time, and it's frustrating.
Yes,
but I
you
do
do.
it. I do that.
The best example is I don't play scratch off tickets unless I have coupons every day. There's the Michigan Lottery website. You can like do a free spin on their like wheel of prizes, and sometimes they'll give you coupons. And sometimes those coupons will be like $3 off 6 for like scratch off tickets. This is the only time I'll buy them, because if I'm doubling my odds on them, then my odds are actually pretty good of winning, coming out ahead. I think I've done it like 6 times now, where I've went out and bought tickets because I had those coupons, and out of all those times I've came out ahead, except for one time, and that one time was like a $1 loss, so like not a big deal. I think like $50 or something. Oh no, $100. I had a coupon for like $25 off 40 on them, and I built a computer for somebody, and I used it on the way home after I got paid, and I got $100 off of it, which is really cool since I paid like $15.
I'll say like, man, this guy's like transphobic. And when I say transphobic, I mean he like actually wants to get rid of like HRT. I got to define it every time, which shows that the words are destroyed. And then when you say he becomes shadows, he's not welcome in the daylight. The way that
you want to go to get it? Yeah, walk up there with Levi. Where's there? Walgreens. Yeah.
Do you have the green card? He remains a shadow is by trying to use the word Nazi instead of bringing him out.
Okay, give me 1 minute, you guys. I have to get the debit card from my wife. She's got to run to the store. Okay, I'm back.
Out and exposing his particular positions. Okay, if you want to go point by point, we can, but I'm right.
He said scratch off baller. Destiny, the postmodern. Nothing means anything now, dude. Trust me, I do math. It'd be more like trust me, I've done math, but equally valid.
Writing down as you speak, and if you speak a lot, I will respond a lot. Okay, go ahead.
But I think you're literally gaslighting me. These are not the points I'm making. You're not responding to the points I'm making. You're setting up straw man after straw man.
I'm writing down your exact words.
No, you're responding to things like, oh, I don't think we should not like somebody because of a label. I didn't fucking say that. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Obviously, then you also said, I think it's more important to engage with his positions than it is to call him a Nazi. I didn't say it wasn't. I'm not saying one is more important than the other, and they're not mutually exclusive. Another fucking false dichotomy that you smuggled in your response as though that's what I said. I didn't say any of the shit you're responding to. My message is very clear, and I'm going to have to end up repeating myself over and over until you either make it clear you're just not going to respond.
Just give me the specific. Okay, hold on. Give me the specific.
Imagine Mr. Girl on meth? No, I will not imagine that. The idea of imagining that makes me uncomfortable.
Specific question. I will write it down word for word, and I will respond to it. Give me the specific question. What is your specific point that you think I'm evading or avoiding?
2 things. One is that I think we need the word Nazi, and given that you use it and protest about the way it is used, I think you also think we need to use the word. The only time I'm hearing you're telling story after story of yourself using the word, arguing against other people using the word, and arguing over the definition of the word. So it seems like usually you're in agreement with me about the fact that this word should be used explicitly to describe people who fit your and my definition of Nazi, which I believe is pretty similar.
Right or wrong, if Mr. Girl feels someone is being manipulated, he calls it out. True.
So,
Okay.
except
Okay,
when it comes to Nick
no,
Fuentes,
let's
when it
not-
comes to
okay.
Nick Fuentes, you say, who cares? I don't care about that word. I don't care about calling people a Nazi. Well, then why can't I call Bush a Nazi? If you don't care about who's a Nazi and who isn't, then why can't I call Bush? Then when I ask you, is Nick Fuentes a Nazi? You say 500 words in response. It's a yes, no, or I don't know, or I don't know yet. But you have interrogated him about his policy positions for weeks or months or years. You have your own definition of Nazi. So why can't you make a determination? Like, isn't it kind of weird that you don't know if he's a Nazi at this point?
I already gave you an answer to that. But when you ask me, is he a Nazi? That's a very simple sentence. Do you understand that there's a lot of... Okay, well, the actual answer, definitionally, to your question is a resounding no. If you want to play hardcore, he's not a National Socialist. So the answer is no.
No,
That's a very, very stupid response.
Okay, well, now, hold on.
Wait. When you say the actual definition, are you now smuggling in a new definition that you can hide behind instead of yours?
Well, no.
This is the moment when it all fell down. Destiny would never allow him to survive after such demoralization of his debate antics.
I'm guessing that's what you checked too.
This is it's really bad here. It's really, really, really bad.
If you want to be, if you want to be,
definition
no.
in your definition of Nazi, is Nick Fuentes
If
a
you
Nazi?
hold on, stop. If you want to be ultra fucking 100%, we get out with the dictionary. Does he belong to the National Socialist Party of Germany? No. Do you want to ask me if he's a neo?
It's not what Mr. Girl did either. He told Destiny at one point, he said, you can pick a definition, and then you can tell me. So jumping to the dictionary definition is bullshit. Here, lady. Did cash work? Is it enough?
Should be.
I think so.
Nazi?
It's no now. He doesn't think Nick Fuentes is a Nazi, but earlier he said he understands why Mr. Girl would call him a Nazi. You know, I think that Destiny does think that Nick's a Nazi, and I think that he just doesn't want to say it. Because if he didn't, this is the problem. If Destiny thought Nick wasn't a Nazi, he'd just go, no, I don't think so. It'd be really, really easy to do. He's like, I don't think so. But if Destiny does think he's a Nazi, then it gets complicated. Because if he does think that he's a Nazi, and that means he has to operate when he's engaging with Nick like he's engaging with a Nazi. And we can see how he engages with him and go, oh, okay. Seems like Destiny thinks this kind of thing about him. Can't really tell. Maybe he thinks he's Nazi, maybe he doesn't. But I don't think that Destiny can lie and say, I don't think Nick is a Nazi, and engage with him the way that he does, and then ultimately get away with it. But if you think that he's not, if you think that he's not, it's so easy to just say no. He's already talking to him. He's getting a ton of shit. This gets Destiny off the hook from a lot of people all at once by just going, no. There's no other reason to not say no. So, if he can't just say no, to me, this means the answer is yes. But I don't want to say yes. That's it. It's really that simple to me.
Or if he belongs
Bro's getting into hyper-specific definitions, bro, waffling. Like, what is Blood talking about?
to a neo-Nazi party,
getting
what I'm
wild.
trying to make you understand is that you feel like your questions are simple and demand simple answers, but they're not.
Yes.
The words are everything.
In the previous call with Chud Logic, didn't Destiny agree that Nick is a Nazi? He has both agreed and taken that agreement back several times. But he won't ever just outright say, I do not think that Nick Fuentes is a Nazi. He's alluded to saying, I don't think he is. He's alluded to thinking that he is and isn't several times, but he will not give a straight answer.
Everything in these statements is incredibly
Yeah, you can't
complicated
be
and loaded.
There's two sides of this question. One is,
But
what
Big
do you
Tech
think
is a
Nick
Nazi.
Fuentes believes? And the other is, what do you think is a Nazi? And I'm asking you if the two things line up. That's it. And it's a mystery what Nick Fuentes truly believes, because he won't say what he truly believes.
I don't care.
He's dodgy and evasive.
It doesn't matter if he says what he truly.
Right, but Nick is not a Nazi, so who cares? I think you're wrong. So, if Nick Fuentes isn't a Nazi, then nobody is. Okay? nobody outside of people, unless you have to kill somebody to be a Nazi, then I would say Nick Fuentes is a Nazi. It's so weird that the first time I saw Destiny walking on thin ice and trapped on the ropes in a debate, yes, getting money from Knicks fans is the only possible reason for such Weasley behavior. Ataraxia, I think I pronounced that right. I'm hoping. That's why I loved this so much when it first happened. This was like my fucking this gave me life when I was like dying of COVID. When it first aired, because I've never, like you said, I've never seen Destiny on thin ice and on the ropes like this. I was totally blown away, and it felt good because it wasn't somebody that I hated doing it. I liked Mr. Girl, so like this was like a big win for me. I got to see Destiny like in a position where I would normally just hate it, but since I liked both of them, it was just like amazing to see it happen for me.
Truly believes I can fight him on what he says, and those are the things that we'll fight about. You can't live.
You are changing the frame of what I'm asking you. There are two sides to this question.
I don't care about the second side.
The funniest thing about this too is that in this scenario, Mr. Girl is playing Destiny against Destiny. Like, Mr. Girl is handling this debate very much the same way that Destiny goes into most debates when people try to move out of things. Like I just watched like the 30-minute one he did with the chick who's like super anti-porn, and he kept trying to ask her like why don't you like porn, and she kept giving like these reasons that could have lined up with any job. He's like, okay, then what's the difference between that and a job? And like he just kept like being super logical and trying to find some like consistent thing that made things make sense. And she kept just like moving all over. Mr. Girl is Destiny in that scenario right now. And look at his face too. It's really wild.
And those are the things that we'll fight about. You can't live.
You are changing the frame of what I'm asking you. There are two sides to this question.
I don't care about the second side. That's the point. I don't care about what a Nazi is.
That's fine if you don't care about it, but let me finish. There's two sides to the question. What is Nick Fuentes? What is Nazi? And should we put an equal sign between them? When I ask you about the Nick Fuentes side,
talking about something for 40-something minutes on the second stream that you're doing about it and not answering by saying I don't care is, to me, like you just lost. I hate that so fucking much that when somebody does not want to give an answer, they just say I don't care. Okay, well, you seem awfully invested in this for somebody who doesn't care. Seems like you would have stopped talking 42 minutes ago if you didn't care. But it seems like the level of care that people have is depending on how well they're doing in the conversation. And I hate that.
you say, who cares what he is? So you evade that question. You say, I don't know. Even after hours of talking with him or weeks of talking with him, I don't know. I don't know what his true stance is, and it doesn't matter. I don't want to know. Okay, well, you don't want to know, you don't know. Those are all the same. Basically, it's a big question mark, a big cloud of confusion from you. You don't know what Nick Fuentes' position.
Mr. Girl cooked this man so badly, it should be comparable to when Destiny cooked JonTron. It was obvious to me. I can't stand that fanboyism, blind DGGers from seeing this. It's not comparable to JonTron because the JonTron one, in Destiny's defense, he tried so hard to get JonTron to be like, he's like, yeah, okay, but like, you're joking, right? But not actually like that, right? Like, John, I am throwing you like 40 life rafts. Can you just get in one? Oh my god. The JonTron one was really, it was fucking crazy. I do want to go over that one. It was suggested to me just to kind of see Destiny forming his, like, how he's gonna do debates and stuff in the future. It was suggested to me that it would be good to get a better understanding of this whole situation. So I plan on doing that in the near future. But god damn, I feel like Destiny really, 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 really tried to help JonTron. This seems like Mr. Girl just like wants to get an answer to his question.
No, stop saying.
Surely one of the moments in the history of the online debate. That's his whole thing. The defining moment of Fed. John, white supremacist Sean. Destiny.
Saying that you're lying. I know what Fuentes' positions are. You probably don't know what his positions are because you're so obsessed with the word Nazi. You just want me to try to see if I can get some.
That's bad faith.
Some positions.
If you know what his positions are, then why are you talking about trying to divine his inner being?
Because you're the one that's telling me that his positions might not be congruent with what's in his head. You're the one
Do you think that's an accurate assessment, that his positions are likely not congruent with what's in his head?
It might be, it might not, but it's not my job to figure that out. That's not what I'm trying to do, unless it's painfully
I'm not saying
obvious.
it is your job. That is your job if I'm asking you this question and you're attempting to answer it, though. Again, there's two sides to the equal. No, you're just changing the subject. There's two sides to the equal.
Oh my god. I felt like Destiny had a pretty good answer, and Mr. Girl just came back and crushed it. Like, it's not my job. Like, well, your job is to answer people when they're debating with you, right?
Side. One is, what is Nick Fuentes?
Kind of your job.
And we can say, what are his policies, or who is he underneath? Obviously, since I'm calling him a liar and a sneaky manipulator, obviously I'm referring to what is he underneath.
I can tell you that there's like...
Let me finish. I'm saying, what is he going to do if he gets power? And so to assess that, I said, do you think he would commit genocide if he were the dictator? And you said, yeah,
maybe
I think
there's a chance.
You said I think there's a much greater chance of him doing that than the average person.
Probably, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so again,
but these are inductions that I don't gain anything by engaging in this level of induction.
I'm not talking about what you gain from it. This is a moral imperative that I'm saying you have.
It's not a moral imperative. We're talking about language here.
Obviously, my claim is that you have a moral imperative to answer these questions and to know the answers to these questions for yourself and to make them clear publicly. And you have a moral imperative to take pushback from your audience when you are risking transferring wealth and power to a literal Nazi. When you are taking that risk, I believe you have a moral imperative to get over your fucking feelings being hurt by somebody calling you weaselly in an argument and not delete a towering criticism of you from your community with 500 fucking upvotes. I think you have a moral imperative to not do that. So I'm not saying you're going to gain anything from following my advice. In fact, I can almost guarantee you that your personal gain will be best served by you befriending Nazis and platforming them. It makes, as long as you don't get banned, it makes you...
Jazzy, you nailed my name, by the way. Taraxia.
Sexy, it makes you dangerous. It gives you access to a whole group of people who secretly have Nazi beliefs and are going to feel warm and want to, join your community for that. It will broaden your horizons in a way that...
It's tough because it looks a lot like Atraxa, which is a magic card my wife plays a lot.
Cozying up to the left never could.
Yo,
Absolutely.
Mr. Girl, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Gideon really just sat by and watched this happen for like a long time. Let me rewind just a second.
Secretly have Nazi beliefs and are going to feel warm and want to, join your community for that. It will broaden your horizons in a way that cozying up to the left never could.
Yo,
Absolutely.
Mr. Girl, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I meant to pause it, or mute it, not pause it.
Obviously, I just got in here, but from what I gathered, is your stance on, I'm guessing you don't believe in that ideology, right?
The Nazi ideology?
Yeah.
I don't agree with Nazis, no.
Oh, okay. Well, let me rephrase that. Do you agree with, Nick Fuentes and stuff?
No.
Okay. So, since you don't agree with that, is your thing is, you're trying to say, okay, yeah, these people are bad, but they shouldn't be deplatformed because we need to be able to point them out?
I believe that there is a problem with the way social media companies boost ideas that get strong emotional reactions from people. So the way they work now, I think it's dangerous to have him on YouTube.
Gideon, the in-mutter of waters, play this spell card when you're losing a debate to a horse-type monster.
But the solution to that is for YouTube to not boost... they just have
It's a little uncomfortable how you mixed Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic text in that.
to change their algorithms, but I don't think deplatforming is the solution. So I don't want to see Nick Fuentes erased from the internet. I think he should be allowed to have a YouTube channel, even though I strongly disagree with his ideas.
So you're strongly against deplatforming.
Yeah,
I would say me too. I'm against deplatforming because, me being a black man, I would much rather have someone be outwardly racist to me, then that's how I like to coin liberal racism, where it's like, you know, semantics, and like, you know, generally they use the things of like gentrification and, you know, hiding behind like big words or big phrases. Me personally, like, I would rather someone's like, yeah, that dude's just straight up racist, you know, like he has his channel over there, everybody that's subscribed to that channel or listens to him, they're pretty much a racist. It's like, oh, okay, so now I know to stay away from them. Where
Agreed. Yeah, and I think that because we're so intolerant of that, it forces people like Nick Fuentes, who I believe is a Nazi, to hide his beliefs and create confusion around who he is and what he wants to do. And because this has happened, and it seems like Fuentes is a Nazi who is trying to create confusion around who he is, I have some criticisms for Destiny Steven here, having chicken and waffles with him and making him seem like a quirky, dorky.
Sorry, bro, I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh degenerate. I've never played Magic. I played both. I played a lot more Magic at this point now than Yu-Gi-Oh, but I played Yu-Gi-Oh for like 5-6 years.
Christian,
different game now though.
Awkward around women, innocent kid, because he's not.
So, Destiny, what is your?
But also, I play all the card games, man. I play Hearthstone, Magic, Legends of Runeterra. Every once in a while, I'll play Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel like there's another one. I can't think of it.
Opposition to what Mr. Girl's
Oh, in Lorcana.
saying.
So I believe that
like card
in
games.
today's climate of political discourse on Twitter everywhere around the world, I think that a lot of the words that we've used have become so watered down that instead of them actually conveying meaning about a person, they just tell us how the author or speaker feels about a person. So for instance, when I hear somebody say, John is a rapist, what I'm really hearing somebody say is, John is a person that I really don't like, who has maybe done like rude or bad things to women, but I don't know what that means anymore, because rapist to you might mean that he literally drugged a woman and forcibly penetrated her, or it might mean that he like, you know, tried to like sext with her when she said no, or sent her like a dick pic that she didn't want, because people use that word to mean so much now. Or when somebody calls somebody a fascist or a Nazi, like, that guy's a Nazi, what do you mean? Oh, well, he's got a Blue Lives Matter flag. Well, that doesn't make you a Nazi. Or someone says he's a fascist. How do you know he's a fascist? He voted for Trump.
I feel like rape is probably the biggest victim of this word clouding.
Well, that doesn't make you a fascist.
Is Harvey Weinstein a rapist?
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Is Bill Cosby a rapist?
Bill Cosby, probably. That's a really hard one too, but not because of what he's accused of doing, but because of the way that all those trials went down is more complicated. But
this is even pretty.
But can you finish like
the I would have to look at the Weinstein stuff. I don't know 100% what was going on with that, but the Cosby stuff, the way that that went down, there's a reason why that conviction got overturned. But I don't know the Harvey Weinstein stories 100%. I know that he used his position of power, but I don't know if he engaged in like forcible rape or anything like that. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at the stuff. But so because these words have gotten so like watered down or so fucked, usually when I'm engaging somebody in a conversation, what I just want to find out is I want to find out, what do you believe? And then I want to like hit on those points. So when I'm giving somebody like Fuentes, the way that most people will argue with Fuentes is they'll be like, okay, well, aren't you a Nazi? Like, you're a Nazi, and I think Nazis are really bad. Like, you're a fascist, dude. Like, that's kind of all that they're doing. They're using those words to bring out the more weight of those words to attack the person, and then that's kind of it. And I feel like people that watch that conversation don't really get swayed one way or another. If you don't like Nazis or people called Nazis, you're not going to like them. If you do like them, it's not going to do anything. But if you like can penetrate those words and move past them and be like, okay, well, what do you think about this or this? And actually engage with the ideas, I like that approach way more, because then I can actually like move a conversation forward to either condemn somebody for a particular belief or change their mind on something. That's
okay, I lost poker.
So from what I'm hearing, it's just like, it really sounds like you guys aren't too far off from each other. So where's like the disagreement coming?
My game might pop up over this for a minute. Let's see. Nope, it didn't. Cool. We're good.
The disagreement is that I believe that Fuentes is using Steven to create confusion and ambivalence in his fans about how they feel about Fuentes, and so they don't know what he believes, they don't know who he is, they don't know what he's doing, and I think that Steven is playing into his hands by being unwilling, for whatever reason, to come up with what he, after hours of talking to Fuentes, to either say, okay, I get who this guy is, or to acknowledge for some reason, I still don't know who this guy is. I've been talking to him for weeks or years. I still don't really know who he is enough to call him a Nazi, or to admit that he's just unwilling to use this word, or I guess any fucking word, and have a strong sense of any definition of any word as long as the conversation is centered around Fuentes. I think that I think he's boosting Fuentes enormously by doing this, and Fuentes is worming his way into Steven's community.
No, I feel that, you know. I feel like he's also doing the same thing with Sneeko, you know.
Absolutely.
One thing I noticed when we had that big debate, like even when Destiny would interrupt him or anything like that, usually when someone continuously gets interrupted, it's like, you know what? Okay, you keep on interrupting me, I'm gone. But like you know, with him being banned and him only having his network, he can only use Destiny's platform or Sneako's platform, because let's be honest, man, who's gonna clip up Nick's shit and post it up on TikTok if it's not from Destiny's stream or if it's not from Sneako's stream?
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's clipping up that shit from Cozy TV and posting it. So like right. I feel I do really think that he is using both of y'all. That's why
absolutely, yeah, of course, yeah.
That's why me personally, like, you know, I think I've only talked to him like twice. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, okay, I got the rundown of who he is, you know. I don't like what he stands for, and you know, I don't wish any ill will towards him, but me personally, I don't want to have him on my stuff. So
I wish ill will towards his career, not
so this aged poorly is what you guys are saying
towards him. Yeah,
you know, that's fair enough, but like, you know, I'm not gonna like platform like to an extent. We all use people, you know, like if I have Destiny on my stream, you know, I'm using Destiny, or if you know, whenever I join his, he's using me, or if he reacts to one of my videos, he's using me. If I react to one of his videos, he's using me. But it's one of those mutual things. Whereas like I feel, unless you know Destiny thinks it's like good content and stuff, then obviously, you know, keep on having Nick on. But like I just feel like, you know, if you do, I feel like you have to know what he's about and everything. God. So it's like, what new ground is there to tackle with?
Well, I think
that was a lot of words to say. It's okay for Destiny to have him on.
Destiny. I mean, with Nick.
The question is, what does Fuentes want to use you for? So, when you and Steven go on each other's streams, using each other for money or views or clout or whatever, like that's fine. Fuentes doesn't want that. Fuentes wants to be a political power. He wants to be president, or more than president. He wants power. And when he has that power, Steven has said there is a chance he's going to commit genocide. He certainly wouldn't rule it out. So when he's using you to grow his platform so that he can perhaps kill you, or me, or people like us, or gay people, I don't think it's the same. I don't think you should be saying, oh well, if it's good content, do it. I don't agree with that. Hold on.
So to be clear, my statement has never been it's good content, do it. So my issue is that what I've seen. I know,
but that's what Gideon just said. I'm responding to what he said.
My bad. The implication was that was my reason. My bad.
No, I know your reasoning is different. Okay. But you saying your reasoning does not counteract my reason for you to not do it.
Sure.
You are transferring power and wealth to somebody who may want to commit mass murder.
Sure.
I feel like, you know, this is a conversation. I know you're talking to Destiny about it, but like I feel like this conversation is more warranted towards Sneeko, because if anything, like when we had him on the debate, like it was crazy. Like his whole.
I don't know, man. I feel like Sneeko's the kind of, like, if you take Sneeko seriously, if Sneeko says stuff and you internalize that and ingrain that into like how you're gonna live your life, I feel like Nick Fuentes probably would have got you anyway. Yeah, I actually think that. Yeah.
Whole chat was
Destiny is like Kaiba throwing Yugi's Exodia in the ocean. You use Mr. Girl in my analogy.
W Nick.
Then what's Exodia?
W Nick, or like it was the whole comment section being like, "But we need more of Nick, man. I like Nick," or it's like, "I didn't know about this Nick guy before, but I really like him."
That's Steven's fault, right?
The forbidden.
I don't know how Sneeko got introduced to Nick. Me personally, like I don't.
So to be clear, Sneeko's community was like watching clips of Nick, and he was promoting stuff before I ever interacted with him. Although even if it was the other way around, I don't think I would care. But
so, Mr. Girl, I just feel like you're.
I think that Steven's connection to Sneeko and Steven's sanitization of Fuentes played a large role in why Sneeko brought him onto that panel. Am I incorrect in assuming that?
it could be true. It's not impossible.
Do you think it's probable that if you hadn't? I mean, I think that having another friendly face on the panel and knowing that all three of you mutually know each other, you don't.
I mean, Sneeko was bringing him on without me being involved. That's the only reason I jumped on this. I saw Nick was there, and I knew that shit was gonna get wild. And Abba was messaging me, and I was messaging him. And I was like, "Oh shit! Like Fuentes is about to go off on some wild shit." So that's why I hopped in. But that was before I was ever invited to that panel. So I didn't agree to set that.
Exodia is the doll from the doll review. She has a name. I'll have you know.
That I would have never agreed to set something like that up. That was Sneeko dragging him on.
Okay. But do you agree that you platforming Fuentes is creating a lot of opportunities for him to have these conversations with other people that are not going to involve you and people who are much less equipped to argue with him or push back?
Yeah, it's potential. There's a potential. For that.
It's not potentially. It's absolutely. I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, of course he's going to reach out to every fucking person that he possibly can. He's reached out to me too. I've been invited on tons of different panels with Fuentes, and every single time somebody invites me on a panel with him, I say I will interview him one-on-one. We can.
You know, I never seen any of these. When this was all going on, and I guess Fuentes was like doing rounds, I missed all of it. There you go. You knew the name. You knew her.
And
name
have a
was her
weird,
name.
Intimate Mr. Girl conversation. That's it. I'm not going to go on a game show with him. I'm not going to debate January 6th with him. I'm not going to do whatever the fuck else I've been invited to do with him. Every single time I've said no. But there's a lot of people who are going to say, yeah. I mean, Steven, are you really not going to acknowledge that you have paved the way for this to happen?
I'm not. Hold on. Stop trying to act like I'm hiding from owning the logical conclusion of anything that happens. Obviously,
you said it's possible. You said it's possible. That's hiding. That is hiding. I'm not acting like you're hiding. You are hiding, and I'm calling it out. Do you think you've paved the way for this to happen or not?
You were dead wrong. I'm just being careful with my language, especially since you were like fucking like vernacularly assassinating me with every imprecise term that I use, okay? It is almost certainly the possibility, okay? It's almost certainly likely.
What the fuck does that almost certainly the possibility? That's my next t-shirt.
Because the reality is you don't actually know. Hold on, wait. Hold on. Okay, let me ask you. Do you know 100% that Nick? Hold on. Do you know 100% that Nick would have?
That's.
Talk to Sneeko.
I'm sorry.
Term that I use. Okay. It is almost certainly the possibility. Okay. It's almost certainly likely.
What the fuck does that almost certainly the possibility? That's my next t-shirt.
Because the reality is you don't actually know. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Okay.
Let
me ask you. Do you know 100% that Nick? Hold on. Do you know 100% that Nick would have talked to Sneeko if it wasn't for me?
Good.
That is not.
No. Stop. Answer that question. Answer the question. Do you know 100% that Nick wouldn't have talked to Sneeko if it wasn't for me?
I don't know that for
no. Stop. No. The answer is no. You can't know that. You can't know that. Okay. So don't tell me that it's 100%. So I will be honest. I'll tell you.
I didn't say it's 100%.
Okay.
I said
then I'm being clear.
Probable. Probable means 51%.
Okay. Yes, it's probable / possible / whatever. More likely. I'm increasing the likelihood.
No, probable / possible is you evading. No, literally the question. Oh,
yeah.
You can sigh dramatically, but you're fucking gaslighting me.
I'm not. Stop saying I'm gaslighting you.
Okay, I want to talk uninterrupted for 10 seconds. Will you just shut up for 10 seconds?
Okay, I think you've talked for the majority of this conversation. Go for it.
That's because you've been gaslighting me and creating confusion for the majority of the conversation. Possible means less than 50% or more than 50% or just means more than 0%. Probable means more than 51%. So if I ask you a question and you say it's possible or probable, all that means is it's not 0%, which doesn't mean anything because we already knew that before I asked you. And the only reason I'm asking you is because I'm saying I think you're paving the way for him, and you're not even willing to admit that you fucking like you, a huge content creator with people we call orbiters, because you give them careers and create paths and relationships for them to network with other creators, are not even willing to acknowledge that you are probably paving the way for Fuentes to grow his base.
Do you
what
think
the fuck are you talking about?
Do you think that's something that I wouldn't say?
I just asked you to say it, and you said, I think it's possible or possible/probable or whatever.
That I'm increasing his exposure to his audiences. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's
almost
that's a pretty easy.
But the fact that you make it take 5 minutes to get you to concede.
Because when I say something, you come back later.
Dramatic sigh. All face up. DGG minion of the gnome cards attack opponent if credit field card is set. How'd you know it was there if it was set? I'm on to you. I don't know if you guys are that familiar with Mr. Girl's conversation with Alex from Playing with Fire. But he basically just like spiraled for an hour because Mr. Girl said that hookup like the hookup community is gay. So I'm gonna try really hard to find a smooth way of just inserting that that it's gay. Because it was probably one of the funniest Mr. Girl streams. So I'm gonna try really hard to try to tell him that I think it's gay, to see if he loses his goddamn mind. If I'm losing, I'm definitely gonna do it. I'm gonna call him gay if I'm losing.
And you're like, oh, well, the way that you use this word technically here is you actually said that, blah, blah. Okay, sorry. So I'm just trying to be as precise with my language as possible, okay? That's
You're
or
being
as probable.
less precise. You are being less precise intentionally to filibuster and to create confusion. So now whatever Gideon came in here to talk about or ask is gone. The conversation is dead in the water. I respond to him and you say, wait a second, I didn't say that. Every fucking turn, you are derailing the conversation into nothingness and then complaining that I'm talking too much.
Okay, let me...
Everything Mr. Girl just said is true. And also, I just wanted to add, I think Alex seems like a pretty good guy, though. But I still want to fuck with him. He seems like a much nicer guy than being like in the hookup community, and his appearance would lead you to believe. But he does seem like he almost seems like he's kind of a softie, to be honest. But maybe I haven't seen enough shit.
Two sides of the equation.
Give me like 5 seconds to just really quickly, okay? So
Sure.
The question was posed to me about whether or not I'm going to assume am I increasing the likelihood of Fuentes becoming connected with larger figures that I'm becoming connected with? The answer to that is obviously yes. Of course, I know that.
No, the question wasn't. No, I assumed that, and I assumed you would also bite the bullet on that. But then you disagreed with it, and then I had to ask you the question. Because you stuck your foot out and tripped me while I was in the middle of making a different point. Then we had to have a 5-minute side conversation about, does it help your career to talk to Destiny? Gee, I don't know. I guess it's possible/probable. And then we have to have a meta argument about that. And then bring in a meta argument about all the other meta arguments that we've had. When actually, you could have just not said anything and let me finish my fucking point.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Jitty?
Yeah, man, I pretty much followed it and everything.
Do you see that he is being slippery?
Who? You talking about Nick or
no? Steven is being slippery.
Nick, Steven, what's the difference of this? I'm sorry.
I just feel like Destiny, you know.
That's pretty good.
Because I feel like he's trying to do the right thing. You know, whenever Nick does come on these platforms, he tries to debunk it for everybody. But I feel like also Destiny has to realize that, you know, what might be sound and true for most people, it could sound like, you know, quote unquote woke liberalism, or, you know, someone just has to interject and be like, oh, you stupid lib. And like everything he's saying is negated. So, you know, it's sad, but like, you know, it's going worse today. Like younger kids are more siding with conservative views because, you know, the liberal side is kind of a little bit overbanned right now. And all those conservative views, although some are good, you know, you have the bad ones, like Nick slips under, you know.
Wait, Gideon, are you going to catch a stray bullet right now? Because I'm pretty sure you platformed the Ku Klux Klan in your video by giving them a full-on interview. What's the difference between what you did and what Destiny's doing?
Have the people that Gideon interviewed from the Ku Klux Klan...
I want Gideon to answer, and then you can go.
Also, real quick, wait, before you answer that question, because I was trying to trap you right now. It's possible that your thoughts could have changed since then as well. Just giving you that out, but go ahead.
No, I'm gonna be straight up. Like, you know, yeah, he's platforming him. Yeah, I platform the Ku Klux Klan. But my thing is, you know, it's one thing if I go there one time and do it, and, you know, I leave it at that. But what my thing is like, you know, I platform Nick too. He was on my stream. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My name's in on it, so I could.
I think it's worse to platform the Ku Klux Klan than there's Nick Fuentes, but that's just me.
But what I'm saying is,
Yeah,
it's like,
probably.
if every video I'm over here trying to tackle new ground with the KKK, and
but the reason why it's worse to platform the KKK than Nick Fuentes is because the KKK already has a greater sense of legitimacy at large. Like, if you say somebody interviewed the Ku Klux Klan, or you platform the Ku Klux Klan, nobody's gonna go, who? Everybody knows who the Ku Klux Klan is. Nobody has to wonder. But if it's Nick Fuentes, somebody who doesn't know who he is can find out that way.
it's just like I'm just straight up basically in part just becoming a KKK hub mind just to have them talk. That's what I'm saying. It's just like it's one thing talking about it, but like if there's new, because like how long have they been beefing for years? Like I don't know how long
has been beefing for a long time.
No, I'm talking about you and Nick. Like how long have you?
Sorry, yeah, probably like 5 years, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if you don't like his views and you don't agree with anything, like what my point is just like, what new ground is there to tackle?
Okay, Gideon, I have a couple things to ask you.
But hey, Abba, you smart, man. You got me there a little bit.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Don't worry. He didn't get you at all.
He was just gaslighting you.
Yeah, he's just fucking with you. It's a fake argument. So, did any of the people that you talked to from the KKK, are they streamers to your knowledge or content creators?
The biggest.
Could you imagine if they at the end of the interview, he's like, well, thanks for talking to me. Clan member's like, yeah, no problem. Go ahead and follow me on Twitch and YouTube.
Content I think they make is just them preaching at their church and putting up billboards. So not too much influence.
Right. To your knowledge, do any of them want to be, or are they to have a career in politics where they're connected to Congress people and trying to become president of the United States?
I remember when this happened to you, and I was like, damn, that's really good. I would not have thought of that. Mr. Girl is like, he's peaking during this conversation. Like, for somebody who doesn't like debates and stuff, like, Mr. Girl is in his like god form throughout this whole thing. Just every super smart point that you could get somebody on, he hasn't missed any of them. I remember being so impressed the first time. It's still impressive hearing getting it because I forgot a lot of it.
One of the KKK guys' son is like a district attorney.
That's cool.
He doesn't let anybody get away with anything during this conversation. Not like a single point.
No, what other?
And Destiny did he had some slick shit. And Mr. Girl's like, no, not happening.
How are they?
Okay, but you didn't really help that guy's career by doing this, I guess is my point. That they're not trying to plug into your social network, right? These KKK guys, they're not showing up on your panels, or you're not seeing them. Like, here's what happened to Steven. He did some content with Fuentes, and then he looks at it on his stream, he sees a bunch of black guys hanging out, and then so all of a sudden Fuentes is there. Is that shit happening to you with your KKK people? Like, are you seeing like a bunch of people that your colleagues streaming, and then all of a sudden one of those KKK guys is there, and he's like, oh, hey guys, it's me from Gideon's stream. Now I'm famous. Has that happened to you?
No, that hasn't been happening. But what I will say is, like, it is, but I feel like it's a different case though, because
yes,
mine's a bunch of old white guys. And,
exactly. That's probably why it wasn't. Yeah, that's why it's not the fucking same. It's not risky for you to talk to those people because you know that you're not actually you're not giving them a career. Most likely, you're not transferring a huge amount of power and wealth and audience to these people, and they don't even want it. They weren't trying to do that. Also, last question. Those people,
well, they probably want it.
That you interviewed, they're not lying about their beliefs, right? They're out KKK members, and they are open about their racist beliefs, and they were open to having them genuinely challenged. I think it's a little different from Fuentes lying about what he believes, explicitly saying, I'm going to hide my anti-Semitic, pro-Nazi beliefs in jokes so that nobody knows.
Corey Muldoon in Destiny's chat said, Mr. Girl is going to make sure Nick is never on.
Knows what I'm saying, and nobody can call me out on anything.
That's not true. I mean,
ironically, Nick made sure that he was never on again.
Soften a lot of their approaches to, their.
Isn't it ironic too? Like, I don't know if I would call him a Nazi. Literally gets all of his followers to rally against a fucking Jew, uh, pretty Nazi-ish, if you ask me. I'm not an expert, but if I was a betting man, I'd probably put my money on Nazi then.
Their racist ideology. They were very diplomatic in their response. One can easily make the argument that the way that they presented themselves in the Gideon video was incredibly deceptive in order to...
Right, working Bob. Transferring a huge amount of wealth and audience to these people. I don't think that Gideon did that by talking to the clan member.
Make themselves feel more appealing and neutral when actually they're far more insidious. We have no way of knowing because we can't get into their heads and shadow box them. But
that's possible. But have they ever stated publicly that they are going to lie about their beliefs so you don't know what they are? No.
I repeat that.
Have these KKK guys that Gideon talked to ever stated publicly, I am going to lie about my beliefs so you don't know what they are?
No.
But
why is your mic
so wait,
but mic is overblown right now. I don't know why. Gain is up, volume is low. That's what it sounds like anyway. But
all right, is this better?
yes. What did you do? Wait, what did you do?
I just turned down the gain.
Oh, do that every time. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so Fuentes has said that. Fuentes has said to create plausible deniability for my anti-Semitic and Holocaust denial beliefs, I am going to pretend that I'm joking when I'm really not.
Okay, so he's admitted to the fact that he would lie for his own benefit. I don't really care. It doesn't really change anything for me because I feel like everybody would lie for their own benefit in order to further their
very
cause.
much missing the point.
Okay, so then why do you ever interview anybody? You actually don't see a difference. So if you and I were going to do a stream,
Nick said he's going to do it. Oh shit! In this exact way, I didn't mean to zoom. In order to do the thing that Mr. Girl's saying he thinks he's doing. That's why it matters in this context. So Abba saying that everybody would do that isn't very relevant. Yeah, it's dumb. It's really dumb.
and right before I did the stream with you, you saw me say on Twitter, "Hey, I'm gonna lie to Abba about everything I'm about to say because I think
No,
it'll make
that's
me
not the
more
same
popular."
thing. That's not the same thing. What you're saying is that he's saying he's going to lie to me before the interview. Well, the difference between what you're saying right now and what you stated before is people admitting like, yeah, there's situations in which I would lie to further my political goals. Not the same as him saying I'm going to come on this interview and specifically lie. In fact, Mr. Girl, I could imagine. Okay, go ahead.
That's not the comparison I'm making. I'm saying just because you imagine that people lie to help themselves, that's different from a political pundit whose sole goal in life is to spread his political views and gain political power, saying, not just I'm going to lie about X, I'm going to lie about my desire to genocide people. I'm going to lie about the fact that I am a Nazi and I'm going to make it into a joke. Do you see how that's different? Interviewing somebody like that and then saying, well, we can't really take what he says at face value versus just interviewing somebody.
Maybe
that doesn't change anything for you?
It doesn't change anything for me because when it comes to the political sphere, I feel like the vast majority of them will lie in regards to their positions on things in order to further their political cause. So for me, if you're asking me whether I think one or the other is more honest, I think most people would agree that they probably would prefer the person who says they admit to lying than the person
when the average person lies. You might
Wait, are they saying that is he saying that the average person would be more in favor of Nick because he said he's going to lie and then lied? I don't think so. I don't think that would be the case.
might imagine what they're lying about, right? You can imagine if you could peek behind the veil of the lie, you'd see something. For most people, that something is not genocide. What Nick Fuentes has told us is that it is. He's saying, the thing I'm hiding is that I'm a Nazi. So you can say, yeah, anybody could be lying, so who knows? But with Fuentes specifically, the thing he's hiding is that he wants to commit genocide.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that brings us back to the original
Do you care
argument.
about that?
Do I care about the gravity of the lie that he's telling? Sure.
Okay, so that is why all of those things taken together, I think it's a little different, and I think it's a gaslighting side tangent that you've brought us on once again to fucking confuse us from what we're actually trying to talk about. That's why I think it's pretty different for Gideon to interview the KKK in a conversation where he has pretty much control over what's going to happen in the aftermath of this conversation. And me pointing out to Steven, hey, you've kind of set this Fuentes guy free, and now he's inviting himself onto panels with people and reaching out to people that he never would have had access to in the first place. It would have been really weird for you to be on a panel with like, for a Nazi to be on that panel. That would be really weird, but Stevens made it not weird. Now it's not weird to see Fuentes show up anywhere.
So, Mr. Girl, what do you think the repercussions is going to be with Nick Fuentes like growing in popularity?
I don't know. I'm afraid of the worst.
What's the worst?
What's going on?
The worst is he becomes a dictator and
Is the stream still smooth? I know the YouTube buffering is making me paranoid that maybe my stream's like being all laggy and shit too. If it is, let me know, please.
Puts a lot of people in death camps.
I don't know what I can do about it, but
that's the worst
I'd like
case scenario.
How the fuck would he become a dictator?
Well, it seems like a good path to becoming a dictator now involves convincing the country that democracy doesn't exist and that if you lose an election, the people who won the election are lying. Convincing people that everybody who's acting democratically is against you in a plot and that they're all lying to you, which seems apparently pretty easy to do.
I understand what you're saying, but like, there's just
I'm not saying it's likely. That's not true that there's no way. It's very unlikely. But yeah, that's the worst case scenario. I think what's more likely is that he grows his fan base and to a pretty large degree, and then kind of burns out at some point in like his late 20s or 30s and just kind of crashes. But before then, I think that he will, like he did at the January 6th insurrection, cause death, terrorism, stochastic terrorism, planned terrorism, minorities and LGBT people being physically attacked and harmed, inspiring this stuff. Yeah, I think so. I think the
So is he radical? Is he like? Is he
yeah,
radical?
he's a fucking crazy person. He was there at January 6th, screaming at people to go into the Capitol and take their country back. Meaning, kill Congress people and kill Mike Pence. Yes, he's radical.
Okay.
Right, and so you assume that, oh, he's Sneako's friend or he's Steven's friend. You don't know that. You didn't know that he got a subpoena from Congress to come and talk to them about his role in the January 6th insurrection, right? You wouldn't know that. He seems just like, you think he's just...
When he asked if he was radical, I thought he asked, is he that cool? And it really fucked me up for a minute.
Another funny conservative, but he's actually a fucking crazy person. And he's been let into your living room by Steven. He's a Nazi. He's a literal Nazi.
Like,
he wants to kill you. I'm gonna be honest with you. Hold up, Gideon. I want to ask you a question. When you hear the word Nazi, Gideon, do you get like a shiver down your body? do you give a shit, or am I the only one who's just like, I hear Nazi, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what that shit means anymore.
Bro, now when I hear Nazi, I just think of like white people with Confederate flags. Like, I don't know.
Now, this is fair. When somebody says to me, this person's a Nazi, I'm always like, I don't know what you mean. But given the conversation that Nick Fuentes or Destiny and Mr. Girl had, I think I could ascertain what they meant pretty quickly and pretty easily. But it is true. I believe them instantly when they say, like, I don't know. But no, I don't know what that means. But they don't have all the context of the full conversation. I feel like Gideon at this point is probably playing stupid. These guys are willingly being dumb. I feel like Gideon is. I feel like Ava's being honest though, because like outside of this context, because like I seen somebody, a friend of mine, tweeted about some, apparently some batshit crazy woman, who's like against abortion and I think she was like against adoption too or something. I was like, what the fuck? And the response was a gift that says, well, she's a Nazi. So, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I wonder if she's actually a Nazi or if he's just saying that because she's like radically right. But if you have a conversation with somebody about it, you could probably figure it out.
Okay, let me tell you.
Gideon is kind of stupid in general, not going to lie, nothing against him, but he's the sharpest tool in the shed, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm picking that up.
Let me tell you what it means. Let me tell you what it means.
I'm just gonna be honest,
because
I hear him, and listen. Obviously, me and Gideon have had extensive conversation about how bad we think he is. So it's not like we're sitting here not thinking he's an absolute terrible person. Absolutely, we both agreed on it. But it's just funny hearing you go off about this and just using the word Nazi. Because to me, honestly, I don't really care about the term. I just want to know what his fucked up positions are, because I feel like that's far more relevant.
I just feel like you think like he's gonna be like Hitler and like how Hitler like grew in political power.
Yeah, let me.
Like, I feel like think
let me
he's the
tell
next
you.
Hitler, and I don't think he's ever gonna be that.
And I think the issue that probably me and you also have, Gideon, is we've heard so many people use the word Nazi for like innocuous forms of like minor or even like non-real racism, that now I hear the word people use it and I'm just like, bruh, like what is this supposed to mean? You guys have butchered this word so bad.
I'll tell you what it means. It means that he's a fascist.
I think for a lot of people, if somebody's like supported the Supreme Court decision to ban abortion or to remove the ban on states banning abortion, then they'll probably call you a Nazi for that. Which I understand why they would say that sentiment, but people are like, I don't think it's contentious to say that people are super fast and loose with it.
Yes, I don't know what that means either anymore.
I'll explain that now too. It means he doesn't believe in democracy. It means he wants a top-down authoritarian government.
If Destiny made the argument that he does think that Nick is a Nazi and doesn't call him one to his face so he can try to convert audiences, do you think Max would accept that? I don't know. See, here's the thing. My take on the first video of this was that the reason why this question is important, the reason why getting the answer to this is important, because the conversation that Mr. Girl actually wants to have can't happen until that happens. Now, if Destiny says yes, then Mr. Girl can probably be like, okay, so Steven, I want you to understand that I'm in a weird situation where you're my friend and you are talking to somebody who we both agree is a Nazi, and you're helping spread his influence to the other people that are like essentially our coworkers. This is what I think Mr. Girl would say, something along these lines at least. And this is how I feel about that. Can we talk about this? I would say that this would be an important conversation from Mr. Girl's perspective to have. If Destiny says, no, I don't think that he is, then they can have the conversation where Mr. Girl is like, okay, I think that you're wrong, and here's why I think that he is a Nazi. Can I try to convince you of my position that Nick Fuentes is a Nazi? So I think that is that's the conversation we're robbed from getting to see because of Destiny's unwillingness to take a position on whether or not he is. The panel's topic is polyamory, because Destiny is getting a divorce and he's in an open marriage. Everybody is going to question the legitimacy of polyamory. Go outside, I look rough. If I go outside, I'll be even more rough. I'm recovering from the actual flu. It's a fucking terrible thing to get. At the majority of it was worse than COVID. So yeah, I bet I do. Also, Lance, long time no see.
With himself as dictator. It means he wants to impose his beliefs on you, and he doesn't want you to have free speech. And most importantly, it means he believes in ethnic cleansing, meaning he wants to kill you, kill your family, kill me, kill my family, kill gay people, kill anybody who doesn't fit his perfect idea of what a good genetic specimen of the human race is.
See, if you'd have just said that, you probably would have got me to listen a lot more than if you just said he's a Nazi. I really don't care about that word.
Well, you should.
Well, I appreciate you telling me what I should care about, but I just told you I'd prefer.
Doesn't sound like you do.
Points. No, I don't. But the other stuff that you mentioned, that's way more interesting. That's what I'm trying to say. So as a normie, okay, because someone who's not part of this debatosphere or whatever you guys got going on.
No.
I'd rather just hear the policy.
The reason you don't know what a Nazi is because you are.
Destiny's relationship should have zero to do bearing on anything but his own relationships. It's sad that it gets turned into every poly relationship, and I would personally never be poly or open. Sure, I don't think it's for everybody. However, I think the reason why it's not for as many people as I think the reason why that it is such a minority status that it is because we're all essentially indoctrinated to think about relationships in a very specific way since the first time we engage with like any kind of like medium of media, whether it be stories or what, it's always this way. We always portray relationships the exact same way. So I don't think that most people don't have the opportunity to even consider an alternative. And when you have beliefs that are instilled at like that young of an age, where like you're like learning your like fundamental ideas about the world and just like how things like mechanically work and like how you work and shit, I think those are some of the hardest ideas to like separate out of your mind. Yeah, Mr. Girl still exists, but just in spurts. But he's back on Twitter now, so that's cool.
A terminally online debate bro. That's why you don't know what a Nazi is. A normal person, if you go up to them on the street and you say that guy's a Nazi, they don't say, oh, this word is so overused. Oh my God, everybody says everybody's a Nazi. They know what it means, especially a older person. Like
yeah, I would bet $100,000. I would bet $100,000. I would go up to 10.
I'm trying to say that even though I am monogamous, I don't think your relationship should have anything to do with his relationship should have anything to do with poly relationships. I agree, especially since he's open and not poly. But I think it's super, super distasteful that people are taking the opportunity, like this opportunity to talk about. I don't like the fact that people are using Destiny's divorce as a way to push an agenda that they already had. I talked about it for a bit on my last stream, specifically in the context of the messages that he put out, and that's it. It's what he chose to talk about publicly to let us know that it was happening, and that's all.